Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are diving into a major story that has shocked the market and left many retail investors scratching their heads. It's the Gensol story. This was one of the most hyped story of last bull run, where its share price zoomed more than 60 times in less than 3 years before eroding all the wealth for the investors. So in today's video, we'll discuss what went wrong with Gensol. But the bigger takeaway from video is, as a retail investor, how could you spot such incident early on and avoid getting trapped in such situation? Alright, let's get started. Over the past few years, Gensol Engineering was getting a lot of attention. The company positioned itself as a clean energy and EV play, a mix that is naturally exciting for investors. They had a solar EPC business, ambitious plan around electric vehicle manufacturing, and they were expanding fast. On paper, it looked like a solid growth story. And the stock price also reflected that optimism. It rallied more than 60 times in just 3 years. And across social media, you'd find a lot of people praising it, saying it is the next big thing, a long-term compounder, even calling it an undiscovered gem. But today, Gensol finds itself in the news for all the wrong reasons. SEBI has flagged serious corporate governance concerns, including fund diversion by promoters, poor financial controls, and lack of transparency. Allegations include availing loans worth 978 crore from IREDA and PFC and using some part of it for personal expense, including the purchase of luxury flat. SEBI also accused the company of engaging in round-tripping of funds through promoter-linked private entity firms to manipulate its stock price. SEBI alleged that Gensol misled credit rating agencies, investors and lenders by submitting forged documents. Considering all this, SEBI has banned promoter Anmol and Puneet Singh Jaggi from holding directorial or key managerial role and prohibited them from accessing security markets. SEBI has also ordered a forensic audit of Gensol's book and related entities to investigate further diversion. In short, SEBI's action made it clear this wasn't just mismanagement. It was a textbook case of how poor governance can crash even the most hyped stories. And today, its stock price has already tanked 90%, destroying the wealth of nearly 1 lakh shareholders in the company. Just let that sink in. Nearly 1 lakh retail shareholders having stake in Gensol. And today, stock is hitting back-to-back lower circuit and shareholders can't even exit their stakes. The big question is, how do you spot such accidents early on? Are there any warning signs that can help you identify red flags in corporate governance? Let's have a look. So first biggest red flag can be visible in the shareholding pattern. In last 10 quarters, companies' promoters were consistently reducing stake in the company. Now I always say that promoter reducing stake is not always bad. The question is, who is buying those stakes? As long as the stakes are purchased by top institutional investors, including FIs and DIs, it should be fine. But in case of Gensol, neither FIs nor DIs shown any interest in spite of its EV and green energy plan. And weak hands of public kept on increasing stake in the company. Interestingly, there were a few HNIs that shown interest in the company, including ace investor Mukul Agrawal, but all of them exited within 1 to 2 quarters. And none of the HNI was holding stake in the company since September 24 quarter. That itself was a massive red flag. And look at the number of shareholders. It got increased from less than 1000 by September 22 to nearly 1 lakh by December 24. Clearly, most of them were retail investors. So the biggest takeaway is to avoid companies where you don't find good FIs and DIs. But sometimes there can be a few genuinely good companies that are very small and are not under the radar of institutional investors yet. In that case, ensure that it has a few HNI investors in its cap table and track it very closely. If there is no FIs, DIs or HNI investor, avoid the company. Don't think that you are the only person who has identified a diamond in the dust. Friends, I've recently done a detailed video on 12 warning signs of fundamentally weak companies. It's a must-watch video. I'll provide the link in the description and pinned comment. Now there are many other red flags like frequent leadership changes, auditor resignation, related party transaction and so on that also clearly highlight corporate governance issue. Then last month, ICRA downgraded Gensol's credit rating to D, that is default, citing delays in debt servicing and liquidity mismatches. That was again a massive red flag that clearly gave an exit signal. Although by that time, Gensol's stock price had already tanked badly. Then off late, I become very cautious of companies that are in extreme limelight on social media where every second person is talking about it. Or where promoters are having constant media presence through news coverage, hyperactive social media posts, and endless interviews. But if you want to identify early red flags, I believe that the best way is to study the shareholding pattern. Avoid companies where you don't find institutional investors or HNI investor. Also, if promoter, FIs and DIs together, their stake is constantly reducing and public holding is consistently increasing, it's a sign to reduce exposure or exit the company. See, I'm not saying that you can completely avoid such accident in the stock market. But if you follow some basic methods discussed in this video, you can significantly reduce the probability of such accidents. Also, the reality is, even with all the filters in place, sometimes you may still end up with the wrong company in your portfolio. Because we can't always judge promoters' intent upfront. And that's where diversification becomes extremely important. Don't have overexposure in any particular stock or sector. Ensure that you nicely diversify your portfolio. I have a thumb rule where I avoid having more than 5 to 6% exposure in any company, and definitely not about 10%, no matter how great the potential is. And one more thing, don't get too excited with newly listed companies riding on narratives of hot themes like EV, renewable, solar and so on. It requires a good few quarters of tracking the company's performance in the market after their listing to really build the conviction. Unless of course, it's already a part of reputed business group like Tata's. Let me not stress this video. I would like to close it by saying, at the end of the day, no matter how exciting the business model looks on paper, what truly drives a company forward is leadership and trustworthy governance. Market can forgive bad quarters, investors can be patient with execution delays, but when trust is broken, it's very hard to rebuild. Because ultimately, as retail investors, we are not sitting in boardrooms. We don't have inside access. What we rely on is transparency, consistency, and the belief that the people running the company are acting in shareholders' best interest. Now tell me in the comments, what is your learning from Gensol saga? And if you find this video useful, do share it within your circle. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care.